Hi, Kevin Bird here. I'm here with Julia Neiman, who is ending worldwide global youth unemployment. So, what kind of world do you want to create? Like, what does it look like once we've ended that, and how is that for the youth?
My vision is that every young person has a career doing what they love to do and that they're passionate about. And that's what my mission in the world is. It's my mission to end youth unemployment worldwide and have every young person follow their dream.
That's awesome. Thank you. So if anyone who's inspired by this, then please share this with your network. And if you have any connections that would want to get involved with her, then please tag them underneath this video. And then so also, how did you get into this?
How did I get into this? Well, I worked as a clinical social worker with teenagers in foster care. And it occurred to me one day that, my kids weren't dumb. They weren't in foster care for anything that they did. It was, abusive parents or parents that were into drugs or in jail. And so they ended up in foster care and nobody was really teaching them life skills and what they needed to do. And when one day one of my kids came home, he said, "I quit my job." It's like, "What do you mean you quit your job? You just got it yesterday." He goes, "I didn't like the way they talked to me." That was a pivotal moment in my life, Bevan, when I realized that if I didn't do something for him and for my other kids, that they were going to be on welfare the whole rest of their lives and they weren't going to amount to much because they just weren't being taught skills. And so I sat down with him to figure out what he wanted to do. His passion was skateboarding. He wanted to be the next Tony Hawk. Only problem is he didn't have the skills, and he had a myriad of mental health issues, which is why he was my client. And so he was on a lot of psychotropic drugs that really messed up his coordination. So skateboarding wasn't in the cards, but I didn't want to quash his dream. And so I said to him, "Well, is there something that you can do, a skill that you have that can relate to skateboarding while you're working on your skills?" And he said, "Well, I can draw." And I didn't know that about him. I said, "Okay, let me see some of the things you drew." This kid had so much talent that had he had the mental capacity, he could have been an animator for Disney. That's how talented he was. And so I suggested that he do some drawings for customizing skateboards.
And it's also an inspiring story because well in other ways, but I'm just bringing up this idea that because Walt Disney himself, he wasn't a great animator, right, or drawer, right?
No, he was a creator. He came up with the ideas. And I relate to that. He came up with the ideas, but he needed to get somebody else to implement them. And he was close to bankruptcy until his brother came in and took over the business aspect of Disney. And that's what made it successful. But so getting back to this kid, so he was so excited about this idea. He did 12 designs overnight, came in the next day, handed me the designs, and he said, "How do we sell it?" And well, I don't know. So I called the manufacturer of the skateboard to ask him what the process might be. And he said, "Well, I have an in-house artist, but go ahead and send them to me and I'll look them over and let you know if it's worth pursuing." Well, he called back the next day and he bought 4 designs. And that's how good they were, right? So within 48 hours, this young man had a business.
Yeah. Oh, and he's got involved with skateboarding. So his art goes on the skateboards and he monetized his passion.
Exactly. And then he started a couple weeks later, he came in with the idea to do silk screen designs for t-shirts and backpacks and things. And, 15 years later, I've lost touch with him, but somebody else tells me he's still doing it. So it works for him, and that's what put me on this path. If that could work with this young man who had all of these issues, it could work for anybody. And so that's what I did from then on. Instead of being a clinician, I started teaching my clients the skills that they needed to make their own way in the world, and had them identify the things that they were passionate about, because that's what motivated them. There was no other thing that motivated them except intrinsically what they were passionate about.
And so, I totally agree with this. That's such important work in the world. We need it.
Yes. And can you imagine a world where we have young people all over the planet who are identifying things that they're passionate about and then building a business around that,
Yeah.
how motivated they will be, how happy they will be. And then that's like, I see it like a ripple effect. They're happy, they have a business, they're going to hire family members and friends, and that's going to cause an economic ripple in their community because they're going to be out spending money. Other businesses will thrive. And it's just this ripple that, you know, we could change the economy of the entire planet doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, worldwide abundance. And that's
Yeah,
where it starts. It starts even with children, right?
that's right.
And I'm so glad that you're doing it at an earlier age than other people teaching entrepreneurship to adults, because we got to get to them younger and younger. And you're
That's right.
doing, is it teens or?
And young people are doing amazingly well. I mean, there are 13 and 14-year-olds out in the world who are building million-dollar businesses.
Yeah, I saw an ad with
Ideas,
like,
right?
like ClickFunnels, right? He's promoting one of his students. This guy just bought a book from Russell Brunson for $7, and he's like, one webinar got me this. He's got a $2 million house. One
Wow,
webinar, right? He learned it from that book. So then he's joined his mastermind, like high level thing. But see, that's amazing. Yeah.
that is amazing. So really, all it takes, these kids need the confidence to know they can do it, and they need a support system. And that's what I do through my Monetize Your Passion Academy. I am providing this support system where I'm teaching them not only the skills, but the mindset and the habits that they need to develop that will help them move forward and really build a solid foundation for their business. You know,
That's
because
awesome.
it's not enough. It's not, passion is a really good thing. That's what motivates you, but you need to have some kind of skills and knowledge. And we're teaching them the habits of people like Richard Branson,
Yeah.
you know, and people like that, and what these people do every day to keep moving forward. And when you listen to them, the most important thing to these highly successful entrepreneurs and business people is mindset.
Absolutely.
Who's out there teaching mindset to young people, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Me.
that's what Naveen Jain, the billionaire, said. Like, the scarcest resource in the world is abundance mindset, but you can just teach it. Anyone can take it on. It's free. It's a mindset. Anything is possible, and you cannot fail, because the only way to fail is if you give up.
That's right. And there's so many other skills, that intrinsic skills that involved in becoming an entrepreneur and developing this mindset, because where do they teach critical thinking anymore? Nowhere. Our schools in America don't teach critical thinking anymore, you know, and that's a skill, and you need to have that skill. And learning entrepreneurship, you know, it's really interesting. We have a very high dropout rate in America of teenagers dropping out of high school. And whether they become an entrepreneur or not, a study at Harvard found that kids that are introduced to entrepreneurship values and habits actually stay in school. They don't drop out because they've learned the value of the things they're learning in school to their lives, like math. Like one summer, I had a group of my kids, my foster kids were bored. What are we going to do for the summer? I go, why don't we have a little business? And then we brainstormed for a while and decided to make smoothies and sell smoothies at all the little local festivals, which the community we're in, there were a lot of them. And they learned all about, you know, costing products and the importance of measuring things out and keeping track of things and bookkeeping, and how math related to their life. Because before that, it's like, why do I have to know math, you know? And
Because
they
it has to
learn
make
how.
a profit, so you can keep going and you can make an impact. You can make your life better and make other people's lives better.
That's right. And public speaking, they learned about, you know, the importance of being able to speak to strangers, to people you don't know, and to be confident. And so I had kids, after the smoothie experience, they enrolled in public speaking so they could feel more confident, you know. And then we got them some sales training, you know, how do you make sales? And they loved it. They loved it. It built their confidence, and they actually felt like they had opportunities in the world that they didn't see before.
What you're doing is so cool. And what I'm passionate about is connecting people. Together we can create heaven on earth. So I connect people so that we make it happen faster. So I hope that you can get everything you need to make this vision global, like to roll it out bigger and bigger, and for you to take advantage of the opportunities, right? To go to conferences and do live in-person networking and and teach in person and wherever it's going to have the most impact.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And money is required to do all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, comes in small amounts, but we need to really start doing some serious fundraising for this to make this grow worldwide. And I'm collaborating with other people across the planet that are doing similar things. It's been, you know, and a lot of that came out of one connection that you made for me, and I really appreciate that. The value of connection is priceless.
Wow.
There's no way to put a price on that, right? And so I
That's
find
so
that
cool.
these
Amy Carrier, with her classroom, that you're getting to impact more people in there. We did a video about that just before this.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're all having a similar experience. Like, everybody loves what they're doing, but there's not a lot of funding for it.
Okay, well, we got to see what we can do to fix that, right? Or how to change that.
We do.
So what kind of connections would be helpful for you now?
Well, I think maybe somebody who's a philanthropist or who knows philanthropists. I think that that's probably where the funding is going to come from. There's a few grants out there, but the grants are really for public schools and more established programs. And so
Okay, so probably at this stage, philanthropists that are passionate about ending youth unemployment and youth and young entrepreneurship, right? Young people doing what they're passionate about.
Yes, that, and even expanding on that idea, people that are interested in changing the economy, both locally and, you know, within their country. And then once we do that, that's going to affect the whole world.
Right. So also ending poverty. Yeah.
Ending poverty. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. See, now that we have that to go on, we know how to target, right? And so we can ask for these kind of connections.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for collaborating with me like this and doing the impromptu soul to soul talk. It's wonderful, everyone, right? Seeing someone's passion. This is what she's passionate about, and she's doing this and been doing it for years, and it just continues to grow, right? And you get more and more stories, and it's, I mean, like, how does it change your life when you're working on your purpose or your passion?
Oh, wow. That, you know, doors open for you when you're doing something you're passionate about. And I have to say, you also need to be in an attitude of gratitude with that. You need to be grateful for everything that comes through. And I can't tell you the connections that you helped me make and other people helped me make. I am so grateful for that, because without that, I wouldn't be working on a global, I'd still be local. I wouldn't be global without those connections. So I'm so grateful for that. And the more...
So that's happened pretty quickly, because you told me that 7 weeks ago you started teaching in Amy Carrier's classroom online.
Exactly. So within 7 weeks, I'm now like collaborating globally with all these people who have similar interests. It's just amazing. It's amazing. It's changed my entire life.
I'll introduce you to more people like Amy Carrier as I find them.
Awesome.
And I'd encourage anyone watching this to do the same thing. So if you know people who want to eradicate poverty, they want to create global abundance, right? Heaven on earth. They want young people to do what they're passionate about. They want to empower the young people, right? Any of those kinds of things.
And it's not just young people. I read a story not long ago. There was a tribe in Africa, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the details of the tribal name of the country, but the women were so tired of being bossed around and owned by the men. They decided one day, they got together and said, we need to have our own tribe. And they started making their beaded crafting things that they did, and they found somebody to represent them, and this person started selling their jewelry and beaded baskets and things all over the world, and the women made enough money to move out and start their own village.
All right.
I mean, isn't that an amazing story? Anything is possible when you, and you know what, it starts with a decision. That's what I tell my kids. It starts with a decision. You have to make a decision. You want a better life? Are you going to be a victim of your past and your current circumstances, or do you want a better life? You know, 100% of the time they go for the better life. And so what I do is come in and show them how to create that better life by doing what they're passionate about.
Awesome. That story you shared there is very timely for this time of in the world.
Yeah.
In the mastermind we just had yesterday, like one of the ladies talked about this. So would you say those women, so it's like the young man, right? And also like me when I was working, he didn't like the way that they were treating him, the way they were disrespecting him or the way they talked with him. Because see, this is how I got this value, right? Where it's not about just profits. So I realized I can't work somewhere where it's just about profits and that's a higher value, because people's health and happiness and the environment matters, right? So you can't just put those below profits, right? They matter more than profits in a way. Profits also matter. That's why there's triple bottom line. So that's a value of mine, right? And that's how I learned it, is I worked where there was the value conflict, which felt terrible, right? And so like that young man, he didn't like how they were treating him. So for those women, were they being abused? Were they being sexually or emotionally abused?
Well, yeah, I'm not really sure. They didn't go into details. They just were tired of being property of the patriarchy.
Okay.
They got tired of that, and they didn't want to be owned anymore. They had their own thoughts, they had their own ideas, and they weren't allowed to express those within their environment. So they just decided they were going to create a new environment, and they did. And they were passionate about it. That was something that for their survival, they felt like they had to do that, and they did quite easily. It happened for them. That's the other thing. When you're passionate about something, it comes to you. You're not chasing money, you're chasing your passion.
Like me right now, right? Because as I'm doing this, and why I asked that question, right, is because of connections. So then I've typed a couple in, because then I'll introduce you to those people. Or you may already know Anna. I put through Rehan, right? Because Rehan introduced me to Anna, just like he introduced me to Amy Carrier, right?
Yeah. So
and another person in the mastermind. So that was about the female empowerment, right? So because then you can share that story with her. That will encourage her, and you guys might even collaborate too. Awesome. With Anna, it's the getting rid of poverty, right, and empowering up those people. So that story you just shared is that's like connecting with what she does, right?
That's right. That is. Well, that's exactly what I do. Teaching this to young people, it's all about raising them out of poverty and giving them the tools that they need to take control of their own economic lives.
Yeah, so then you have similar values with Anna, and she's doing like a global thing and some kind of using technology in some way, so to connect all that opportunity that's all around the world to that community, because there's a community we want to raise out of poverty, right? So we can connect all the things that will help for what they exactly need, right? And so it's like that community there, it's empowering them with what they need. And so that connects, right? Because philanthropists, the funding, connecting to things, that's part of that, of course.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Cool. So I'd encourage anyone watching this, if you're getting inspired or if people flash into your mind, then comment on the video, right? And tag those friends or connections, because that's how we do it. That's how we bring the connections together and make amazing things happen together.
Exactly. And it's a way for people, by contributing and helping in that way, it's a way to associate and align yourself with something that's really important in the world.
That's right. Yeah, just by bringing, so you may know someone who maybe is a philanthropist, right? You can bring them to the forefront. They're probably going to appreciate that you thought of them. That's most of the time what happens. And of course, Julia is going to appreciate it, right? And those kids are going to appreciate it. The future will appreciate you, right? And so it feels good to be part of something bigger than yourself. This is a sense of higher purpose. Facebook, like this video is right here on Facebook, and we got comments below it, right? Facebook, the creator of it, what does he want to do, right? He wants to connect the world, and he wants everyone to have a higher sense of purpose. One way to do that is you have a mission that's bigger than ourselves, and we just chip in some little part, whatever we're inspired to do, something we can do from where we are, right?
That's exactly right. And I want to emphasize something you just said, which is so important. And that's about being connected to something bigger than yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to be the one to do it. You can just connect yourself with somebody else that's doing it, and you can take credit for it.
So like when I introduced you to Amy Carrier, I did nothing else
Right.
because I
Yes.
said I could bring promotional partners to you for Monetize Your Passion Academy. And Amy
That's
was good, a good, really good one. And that one, the connection was done well. And you guys have gone on, and she's also connected you with other people too.
exactly. That's exactly right. So being part of something bigger than yourself, it's so important. And our souls, we're talking soul to soul here, our souls need that. That's built in. And we need to have,
Feels it feels good, like
yeah,
because I get a warm feeling about like what we're doing, what you're doing, and then how we're able to bring more connections together. So that's you can everyone watching this, you can tap into the same energy. In fact, you may already have done it. And when you bring more connections to the table, it's just amazing what will happen.
exactly. And you're contributing instead of just taking from, you're contributing to the energy of abundance.
Oh yeah, we're creating global abundance right here, working together. Now normally that would be like it's a Facebook Live and it would be happening live. But because we were doing a conversation already and we did it through Zoom, it's not live, right? But we're also treating it as live because we
Yeah,
know how this works.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So
So
so we're
I'm
creating this
excited.
success.
I
So we're
just want to welcome you all in and connect with me on Facebook or however, you can email me at julia@monetizeyourpassionacademy.com if you just want to talk about
I'll
what I'm
slow it
doing.
down too. So monetizeyourpassionacademy.com.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
go ahead.
I'm happy to talk to anybody that reaches out and tell you more about what we're doing in the world. It's really exciting. Really
Absolutely.
exciting. And
So
young people, this has to happen because young people are our future. And we've been really positive thus far about what we're doing, but I want you to know that there's an urgent need for this
uh,
because youth unemployment is a global crisis. It's a global crisis, and they're our future. In America, we have the older generation is starting to retire. They're dropping out of the job market, and those jobs aren't being replaced. They're going away. The things that older people did. Kids are going, I know so many people that have master's degrees that come out of college and can't find work. And they're working at McDonald's or they're working at the local bookstore because they can't find work with their master's degree or their PhD. So it's a global crisis and we need to address this. And this is my answer to it. I'm sure there are other answers, but this is my part in it.
I'll do whatever I can to introduce people to you. And I hope my network will also chip in with connections.
Thank you.
And I know my friend Matthew Sikich well. He's a friend of mine, and we just talked earlier today. And the most recent Soul to Soul talk was with him. And so something that's cool too that's happening today is we've started doing them spontaneously rather than just scheduled in advance. So like I did that with him because we weren't planning one, but we did do that. And this one right here is one of those. So thank you for being the second one and being authentic.
I think that's great. And that's right. That's how you really tell if a person is genuine. Just do it spontaneously. And if that passion, they don't have to prepare for it. I was totally not prepared to do this with you today. I thought we were just going to have a, short conversation. And then suddenly you're like, oh, let's record this.
Yeah, because I don't like to waste time, right? So I realized that if while we're talking, we could be sharing the story with other people at the same time when you're telling me. And if I'm going to share something with you or whatever, but we can talk about it publicly and allow other people to share connections too, or they can share the video, other people find it. And so then we create more of a conversation, more buzz and everything. It just amplifies.
Exactly, it does. And it's a higher level of energy. When it's
Because now once we realized, oh yeah, we're doing this and we have other people watching and people commenting and like tagging people, so that's what we have below this, then we got into that energy of like that this is a community, right? And so another thing you can also comment is, what are you passionate about, right? Like that's what we also want, like you say what you're passionate about, because people can connect based on their passions.
That's exactly right. And if you tell me what you're passionate about, comment on Bevan's page. We'll keep checking it out, and maybe we know somebody to connect you with that's related to your passion too. So that's what it's all about. It's like, we help each other. We
Mhm.
support each other. It's this giant support network that covers the globe.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we have to do. Open our networks abundantly. Be like, I'm here to serve you in the ways that I can, right? And that's what I'm here for, is the soul to soul connection. So yeah, absolutely. Share
Yeah.
what you're passionate about, and I'll see who I can introduce you to. That's what I love to do. That's
Uh,
why we're doing this video. Awesome.
this has been fun.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I had a great time. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't know it would go like that, right? But it's really awesome, and like love your energy and the stories and stuff. Uh,
Me
what what is what's something that we can learn from Richard Branson or some inspiring entrepreneur for youth? Something that the youth can take away.
You know, it's about taking risk. It's about really believing in yourself or learning to believe in yourself, and then figuring out what you really want to do. I know a lot of business people will tell you it's not about passion. You just start a business and then you can find something to be passionate about. I don't believe that. I think if you start off following your heart and doing what you really want to do, that energizes you, it motivates you, it gets you up every day. You are one happy person, and it almost doesn't matter whether you make money off of it or not. And the money comes when you follow your passion as opposed to profits. More money comes easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to get out to young people. You don't have to be an employee. You don't have to get in a dead end job. You do not have to do something that you don't love to do. Don't allow anybody to influence you. Take the risk. If you don't do it now, then when?
Yeah.
It's the time to do that, when you're young, right?
The biggest risk is not taking a risk.
Yeah. And Richard Branson, that's
Yeah.
what he would say. He takes risks every day. His life has been very risky. I mean, he started out, I read a story about him. He started out as a 14, 13, 14, or 12 even, selling records out of his basement. So he was an entrepreneur from early on, and he just followed, and that's how Virgin Records came about.
Mhm. I didn't know he was that young.
He
Because in
started,
his autobiography, it was like he started student, right? The magazine or newsletter or something, right? And then direct mail, like an ad in that was selling records, and then that became the first business.
yeah. But I think before that, he was selling music out of his basement at home.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
I read that about him once.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what he said in the autobiography, that like you got to take risks, and these other things, right? Like delegating and having the right team, empowering those people.
Right. And the only reason that we hesitate to take risks is fear. And that fear is irrational. Because, like, what's the worst thing that could happen if you take a risk and you go for something you want to go for? It works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, you learn the lesson. That's like Thomas Edison, the guy that invented the light bulbs. A reporter once said to him, "How did it feel to fail 10,000 times?" Because it took him 10,000 tries to get it right. And he said, "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways it didn't work."
That's right. Yeah,
Right?
I was listening to Sean Mize earlier, a recording of his new faith-based call from yesterday. He said that he's taken a lot of risks, like taking a lot of action. So he's had a lot more failure than other people and a lot more success than other people. Lots
Exactly.
of risks, right? Lots of action.
Lots of risk, and taking risk and failing, and be able to get back up from that and say, okay, this is what I learned. I know not to do this anymore. I'm going to try something different. That takes courage, and that's what you get rewarded for.
Oh yeah.
The universe rewards. I learned my lesson. I'm trying something else, and just keep going for it, because every question you don't ask, every risk you don't take, the answer is always no.
Hmm. I'm not fast enough to Google it, so I'll just say it improperly. Improper action is like, now is better than perfect action later in the future.
That's
The plan,
exactly right.
perfect plan. So it's something like success, or the universe rewards you for going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm.
That's right. And even in the sales, my sales coach, because I had absolutely no sales skills, and mainly because I didn't understand sales, right? And so my coach always said, go for the no. Don't worry about it. So you'll have 100 people tell you no. It's just going to make you more confident for the yes. You'll be ready for the yes.
Because you don't mind getting the no. You're not scared of it.
Go for the no. It just gives you more practice. So that's a good way to look at it.
Oh yeah, and just do things for fun too. If someone puts so much expectation, we need to get this result, but if you do it for the fun of it, see what happens, right? Playfully, that's a great way to do. I've learned this like about online marketing, right? And so it's the same thing with entrepreneurship and taking
Yeah.
risks.
And in my program, we actually have exercises and modules that teach you how to get beyond your fear, how to get past that, how to cope with fear, how to cope with failure, and how to get beyond that without doing any damage to yourself.
Monetize Your Passion Academy. That's awesome. From how I have got to know you a little bit so far, I love it, and I love your passion and your vision.
Thank you, Bevan. I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thanks for doing this talk with me. I look forward to more collaboration in the future.
Thanks. It's my pleasure. Thank you again.
You're welcome. And this talk is brought to you by MonetizeYourPassionAcademy.com.